Well, good evening, everyone. I am Kichi. I'm the board president for the Board of Trustees with Frederick Classical Charter School, if you don't know me already. Just so you know that this meeting is being recorded. And this meeting, the State of School, is actually more of an informational forum. And it's meant to be an opportunity for us to share business and our operation as to where things are and where we're headed. And I want to thank everyone who is here joining us for the State of School meeting. I will move on to the next. Hold on a second. All right, need to move to the next slide. Thank you. All right, so this will be our agenda, but I do want to thank everyone and welcome every member as they're coming on to thank you for your time. This is a very unprecedented, unusual time for every one of us. This is not our typical format of State of School, but given the current pandemic and the situation that we're in, we have been doing it this virtual way that will be much safer for everyone. And this will continue until hopefully we are given that headlight that we should come back and meet in person. So this is our agenda. As follow, we'll have our report, and that will be by me, and the financial report. Everything is on here, and then we'll follow. I do want to point out that if you have any questions, you can send an email if it's related to operational things for the school. That will go to the Board of Trustees, BOT at Frederick Classical Charter School. Anything regarding curriculum will be sent to our head of school, to Dr. Bell's email. Okay, let me go to the next slide. Okay. Just wanted to share some key initiatives and things that we've been working on this school year under the circumstances that we're in. There were a few updates for our science textbook. Was actually reviewed by a group of staff member, and we also had a consultant, and the board had approved a change for the 7th, 8th grade science book. The Singapore map version, we are now using the Common Core version based on the recommendations from our head of school staff and our consultant, Mr. Bill Jackson. As a result of this pandemic response, we are now doing our meetings, conducting our meetings virtually. I also do want to share that we did get some fundings from the CARES Act, and some of those fundings were utilized to purchase the Chromebooks that were required for our scholars to utilize while in the virtual learning environment. And we will also continue to use whatever is left towards the COVID relief to ensure that we stay compliant and prepared for the hybrid model if that really takes place. But we will continue to follow FCCS direction in terms of school reopening, and the head of school will share that during her presentation. We've had 3 new trustees that started in May. Michelle Early is one of our trustees. We also have Jamie Brennan, who is a parent, and she is an acting treasurer. We also have Dr. Adam Orr, who is also a trustee that came on. We do have some vacancies, and we are continuing to recruit. So I'm also going to use this platform to ask if you're interested in joining the board, please send us your resume or CV to BOT at Frederick Classical Charter School. We will be having some vacancies also coming in June. So we want to make sure that we have those have those positions filled as well as we transition. And some of us will be transitioning out June 2021. And we've been having some professional development around board governance, and we will continue to have those as well. Some may be annually as for the board, and some could be every quarterly. We are looking, of course, to the facility search. We've been sharing some information during our public sessions and the lease renewal, but Tim, who is our trustee who oversees that project, will be sharing more information regarding our facility and also our lease renewal. We do have our board production calendar. I do want to share that we have a few things on our website, and maybe if you haven't been there lately, under About, you have our board production calendar that we started implementing because it's a best practice tool to kind of guide the board operation of work. And under About, you will see governing documents. That's where you will find the board production calendar. Our current bylaws is also there, and also the member affirmation statement on classical school. So those information will be there. The board also completed that member affirmation statement and approved that. That is also on our website under the same category that I had just shared. It will be under governing documents. The board is revising the bylaws right now, and more information in terms of how that will be, shared with our community, and the process will come forth hopefully next month during our public meeting. During our last annual report, which was last year, and we have another one coming soon, probably in February, March, at the Board of Ed, we presented our annual report, and we also made that request at the time of our interest to become an eligible charter school. We have completed all the work around that. We're just waiting for the Board of Ed to hear from them as to when that process will start. All right, next slide. So that will be Jamie. Jamie, are you on?
Sorry about that. Lost the screen for a minute. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I just want to go over, I don't want to delve too deep into these. Our financial information is available on our website. And as always, you feel free to ask us questions. I just want to cover a few items. So for those of you who don't know, our year end is actually June, which is fairly consistent for nonprofit organizations, and certainly kind of schools and governmental organizations frequently have non-calendar year end years. Our audited financial statements are completed and available. For our last year end, which was June 30th, 2020, our auditors were able to issue an unmodified opinion. That is the highest level of assurance that can be given. Sometimes it's also referred to as a clean opinion. It basically means that they did not find anything that indicated there was any concerns with our financial statements and that they were fairly and accurately reported. Our 2021 preliminary budget was presented and accepted by FCCS in August of 2020. Just a few highlights from our audited financial statements. Our cash and investments were $1,257,952. Our net assets, which is our assets including cash and investments minus our and any liabilities, is $1,500,000 $556,811 dollars. Our working capital at June was $1,412,573, and our debt service coverage ratio was 1.32. Could you move to the next slide, please, Allison? Thank you. So we have recently finished up our October 2020 financials. So our statements that we produce on a monthly basis are internals. They haven't been audited by our outside accountants. At the time of our October figures, our cash and investments were $1,436,633. Our net assets is $1,605,854. And our working capital was $1,516,240. Our debt service coverage ratio is 1.16. So the kind of running through all those rather quickly, but we don't have a lot of long-term or really a lot of liabilities. Most of our money is in and back out, but we have some reserves, which which contribute to the benefit that creates our positive debt service coverage ratio. And we're actually in a very good position to be looking for our facility search. So Tim's going to cover that next, but I just wanted to point out that overall our financial position as a charter school we're in very good shape. And most of the difficulties that charter schools encounter are around financials. So we feel very positive about looking forward to our options with our facility search. And that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Jamie. So on to the facility task force report. On the next slide, we see an aerial view of 327 Ballinger Center Drive. Our facility team is comprised of parent volunteers, Jones Lang LaSalle for financial advisory, and then Macro Realty and Zavos Architects. And with this team, we were able to locate a piece of land that looks viable for a future school site. So to that end, we recently executed a letter of intent to begin the contract negotiation phase, to be followed then by the feasibility period on this property to see if it's viable and to see if the school can afford it. It is 6 acres of land. Significant site work has already been completed. This project, this piece of land was intended to be developed 10 years ago, and some work was put into it before the project was halted due to the 2008-2009 financial crash. Revisiting it now, it looks like a strong candidate for our school. So over the next few months, we'll be taking a hard look at it to see if it's possible to go forward. The building style that we would envision there would be panel construction similar to what you see at the St. John's High School on Buckystown Pike. It would be panels hung on a steel frame, most likely. If the property works out, our target move-in date would be July of 2023, and that would be ahead of the 2023-2024 school year. So in the meantime, on the next slide, we're moving forward with renewing our lease for the short term until that June, at least until the June 2023 mark. And as part of that, we're expanding the existing play area for the kids. So the photo you see here, the red area is the current size, and then we would be adding on to the right of that to nearly triple the size of the outdoor play space. St. John has not given a firm date yet on when they can do that work, but they are optimistic that they'll be able to get it done in time for hybrid school. So we can't guarantee that we'll be able to hit that, but we are pushing them very hard to make sure that we do. And on the next slide is phase 2. Once we have the outside perimeter fencing expanded with St. John, then we can look at adding some playground equipment in there for the kids, especially the younger students. We have some proposals for what this would look like and what this would cost. And we'll be reaching out to the community, seeking input, and particularly input from the students for what pieces of equipment they like best and some ideas for how to move forward with that. And of course, there will be fundraising surrounding the equipment as well. For those of you who are rightfully wondering why we would put in equipment if we plan to leave in 2 years, the equipment would be able to be removed and bring with us. So the cost of the installation would be lost, but the equipment itself, that'll last us for years, even at a different site, should the other site move forward. And that is the end of the facility task force update.
Advance the slide, please. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. So we're going to talk about what some of the performance data looks like for iReady. For reading and math, our DIBELS data that we just finished for our K through 2, our SIP plan priorities and goals, and our reopening plan update. So our kindergartners came in very strong in the areas that they were tested in. For the iReady diagnostic, we had, as you can see, 9% of our population in reading came in proficient, and 82% came in proficient in math. And then we had 11% of our students came in a tier 2 in reading, and 18% in math. We didn't have any students come in at tier 3 on the diagnostic. And this is the first time that we've seen data that look like this from our kindergarten students that came in. So there's a number of variables that we looked at in some comparison between this data and then the data that we collected from the DIBELS diagnostic. You can go to the next screen, Allison. iReady reading diagnostics for grade 1 through 4. You can see we had, for our reading, our proficient students are highlighted in green, and our approaching students are highlighted, or your tier 2 students are highlighted in the yellow, and your tier 3 students are highlighted in tents and in the red. So based on the information that we've collected, we were able to determine that 49% of our students in first grade were proficient when they took the test. 67% of our students in second grade were proficient. Percent of our students in third grade were proficient, and our fourth grade was 57% in reading. So our current third graders came in very high from their second grade teachers and their reading performance. And then we have identified a few students, 10% of our students in fourth and second grade came in the red zone, and 5% came in the red zone in third grade, and we didn't have any in kindergarten. Excuse me, in first grade. Our 5 through 8 data. Our 5 through 8 data, you can see again, just if you look across for ELA, our numbers are higher in the green, which is very, very good. In the first round of testing, we had a percentage of students, a pretty consistent percentage of students between 11 and 15% that came in our tier 2. Our tier 3, however, for 5 through 8 looked a little differently. we had up to 24% in grade 7. We talked about these students in the summertime when we made the modification to their curriculum. We had 17% in grade 5, 20% in grade 6, and 12% in grade 8. So we definitely need to look at those strands in the middle school and make sure that we're identifying those strands the proper way. Thank you. If you look at your math diagnostics for 5 through 8, you have, again, your highest number of your students that are sitting in 7th grade. They came in at tier 3. We had our tier 2 students in the middle school in mathematics. You can see that those students, there are a higher percentage of students in tier 2 that are currently sitting in the middle school right now. And then our performance for our tier 1 students was anywhere between 51 and 62%. With our 6th and 8th grade coming in at 62%, our 5th and 7th grade coming in at 51 and 52%. So those are areas that we are looking at very closely right now. So our iReady math diagnostic 1 through 4, again, when you look at the math data, you have 50. Our lowest performing group right now are our current 4th graders, and they're at 33%. So they have more yellow, and they have more yellow students than they have green students. So we have a lot of students that are sitting in that tier 2 bucket. And our 3rd grade, we have a number of students sitting in that tier 2 bucket in mathematics as well. Our 2nd and our 1st graders, we also have high numbers of students that are sitting in that bubble bucket that we need to really make sure that we attack and approach. This is what our data is telling us that we need to do. And then looking at our students who are falling in the well below level, we have students in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade that need intensive intervention. I think we skipped a slide, but that's okay. Our double performance, when we look at our double performance in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, you can see that the students that were above grade level are the students that are sitting in the purple, or students that are at grade level are the ones that are sitting in the green. And then you have the students who are below grade level who are sitting in the yellow in certain criteria. And then our students who are well below are sitting in the red. So now these numbers are based on specific areas in phonics. So when we looked at their overall data, this is what it found. When I compared this kindergarten data to the kindergarten data that we were able to collect from the iReady, what we were able to determine was that from a phonemic awareness perspective, our kindergartners came in much higher and much stronger at a much larger number, because you see 64% of our students were in a place coming in kindergarten where they did not need a lot of intensive support. So when you add that, I'm having a hard time seeing the screen. Hold on, here we go. So you're talking about 70% in total. That's a strong number for kindergartners coming in. Like, we have a really strong group of kindergartners in our building this year. So when we look at our 1st graders, we see that we have a lot of work to do with those students. And we look at our 2nd graders and we see that we, again, have a strong band of students that are sitting in 2nd grade right now when they were initially tested. So that's, they left 1 to 2 coming in at a strong band strength. So that's good for us to know and note. So our school improvement plan, we have our leadership team, our school improvement team, that includes several of our instructional leaders in the building, and it also includes 3 of our parents, 3 very active parents, and it's they're a very great contribution to the team as well. So we have a school culture goal, and we identify that 85% of our students are fully engaged and actively participating in instructional programs and courses. So meaning that we need to make sure that we provide an opportunity and environment for students that is engaging for them at all times. And we just need to look at how our teachers are developing their instructional tools and implementing the instructional program. And then also recognizing that we are currently in a virtual environment and what does that mean for how instruction is delivered at FCCS. 95% of our students will participate in home-based and town hall meetings. We want to make sure that our students are plugged in and engaged in the morning because that's how we set the tone for our day. We have re-implemented our morning announcements with the students now. So we're just trying to make sure that our students are connected and engaged in the work and the school culture at all times. So we have a student achievement goal as well. And the student achievement goal is not based on state exam performance, but it is going to be it's based on the iReady data because that's the most consistent data point that we will have this year. The percentage of students meeting or exceeding expectations on reading iReady will increase by 5% from the beginning of the year administration to the end of the year administration. And then we have the percentage of students meeting and exceeding expectations in math iReady will increase by 6% or more from the beginning of the year to the end of the year administration. And then in grades 3 through 8, we identified subgroup populations of special ed farms, Hispanic, two plus races, African American, that those students will demonstrate an 8% or greater gain, meeting or exceeding on both math and ELA iReady assessments from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. We are definitely looking at identifying our subgroup performance and tracking that performance throughout the year as we are, as a school, are focused on making sure that we're providing an equitable program for all of our students. Our health and wellness goal, we want to continue to look at our physical activity goal for our students to promote physical activity above and beyond the instructional program in our school. And then our nutritional goal, because every school has to have this on their plan. So we're going to promote nutrition education in our schools, share messages verbally about nutrition and healthy eating throughout the morning announcements. Looking at having wellness Fridays or wellness Wednesdays or fit Fridays. We talked about school assemblies, newsletters, materials being sent home, staff meetings, and parent conferences to just encourage parents to have that as part of their conversations with their students. We also want to provide visual reminders to students, and being in this virtual environment really makes things a lot different. What I would say to parents who are on this is there is a huge difference between how our students are engaged when they have their cameras on versus how they're engaged when they have their cameras off. And it is extremely important that we try to monitor, engage a student's understanding, and we only have the computer screen to help us do that when we're in a virtual setting. So even the virtual setting is going to be part of our school year, because if we go to a hybrid model, they still will be virtual half of the week. So we really, are reaching out to parents and saying, we would like for you to talk to your student about making sure that their camera's on, that they're engaged, so that they can hear, the teacher can determine whether or not do checks for understandings at the end of the lesson to make sure that they understand actually what's happening in the classroom. So when they go off for their asynchronous instruction, they're not going off in a sense that they have absolutely no clue what they need to do. Because of what our iReady data is telling us, we need to recognize that we have a large portion of our students that we need to do a lot of work with that are sitting in that middle area. That middle area is a child that could go up, could go down, or stay the same. So it's extremely important that we have a very specific plan for those kids. Thank you. Looking at the reopening plan update, this is what we know. And this is like the hot topic right now. But unfortunately, we don't have all of the answers that we need in order to put this plan together. We know that students will physically attend school 2 days per week. They will attend virtually 3 days per week. We know that. FCCS is scheduled to send out another survey to solicit parent feedback on hybrid versus face-to-face instructional participation. There are some families that will say that they're not comfortable sending their kids back to school and they will be virtual 100% of the time. There'll be people who say, well, we're comfortable with our kids coming back to school. And then from there, we determine how many students we have in the building and then start executing the plan. We have a maximum capacity of 11 students with additional desks being removed. So what that means is our classrooms, first of all, our classrooms are not very large. So in order for us to have the 6 feet social distancing, we're only going to be able to have 11 desks in the class. There's only one classroom in the building at this point that's not going to be able to accommodate that. That's our baby kindergarten room. So we have to look at what that's going to, how that's going to look. Your students may have to shift from one home base to another depending on student counts. Scheduling will be adjusted based on the participation numbers. The leadership team this evening spent 2 hours working on, what do we need to do in terms of scheduling adjustments without making too much, too many shifts and confusion for the students, because we finally have things moving at a rhythm right now for both the teachers and the students. We have to look at transitions. We're going to have to minimize transitions, and student belongings will be on their person. So they won't be able to put things in lockers and put things in cubbies, and in some rooms, the cubbies and all of those things will be removed from the room, again, because we have to make sure that we have enough space to spread the students out. Fine arts classes will be taught in the classroom. So they'll come to the students again, because we have to minimize the amount of transitions that are happening in the classroom. Additional desks will be moved into the cafeteria to accommodate a socially distanced lunch. We'll only be able to have about 50 to 56 desks in the cafeteria. So there'll be desks, the tables will be removed. If we use the tables, we'd only be able to accommodate about 40 students. So we looked at that. We may have to utilize space in the gymnasium, depending on how tight the lunch shifts have to be. I don't know if we're going to be able to if we'll have a lunch block the same as we would have in regular school. Because our folks come in from somewhere else. There are going to be adjustments to schedules all over the district, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect our students in terms of their lunch. We do not want to have kids having lunch in the classroom. We want to move away from that if at all possible, because of the mass, the implications of the kids being in a small group, the ventilation in the room, and all of these other indicators that would not necessarily make that a good idea. So we are trying to think through and hit on all the touch points necessary for us to make sound decisions based on that. The master schedule will have to be adjusted to accommodate lunch in the cafeteria and needed cleaning protocols. So again, based on, now I may have 2.5 hours to do lunch, I may only have an hour and a half to do lunch. So with that being said, that's when the schedule will have to be adjusted. We want to continue giving students an opportunity teachers to work with students in the afternoon. So the students that would have the face-to-face that's in during hybrid, they would have an opportunity to have that face-to-face instruction with the teacher for 2 days out of the week, and then the other students will be asynchronous in the afternoon. And we haven't worked out what the details will look like for students who may need to log into the sessions. We haven't worked any of that part out yet. So we're still trying to there's a lot of details, there's a lot of moving parts, and unfortunately, we don't have all the information to make all of the decisions that we want to make at this time. However, we are going to do what the district guides us to do, because we don't have the flexibility to do anything different, because we have to be in line with the health department and any district mandates and protocols that come through from FCCS. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Our last item tonight is to talk about the organization's upcoming business for membership, and to discuss some of the temporary procedures that we're going to be utilizing. So typically this meeting would be held in person, and if there were any business to be conducted, we would count participation to get to quorum. And so our alternate approach is really, for the foreseeable future, going to still be hosting virtual conversations with membership. So the upcoming business that we anticipate in the next few months will be the bylaws revision. So at our next board meeting next week, we will be looking at the final draft of our bylaws and of a bylaw revision. And there are 3 sections of those bylaws that have to do with defining our membership of the organization and defining the roles of the Board of Trustees, and then especially having to do with the election process. And those sections require a vote by membership in order to become active, to be approved. They have to be approved by membership. And so we'll be presenting those adjustments, those recommended changes to the bylaws to the membership for a vote. So we anticipate that will be very soon. And so that will be concluded before too long. Also in the spring, we will be having trustee elections. So that will be following the election process that's defined in the revised bylaws. And so that will be at a spring meeting. So we anticipate having a membership meeting in the spring for that purpose. Our temporary voting procedures will need to be voting online, since we won't be meeting in person. So these are the steps that we anticipate utilizing in order to conduct a vote on those business items. And we wanted to use this opportunity to share this plan with you before actually proceeding with any votable items. So the Board of Trustees will provide a 10 days advance notice of business items that require a vote, and communicate the voting window. We'll host a member forum online to review the business items. So we'll review the bylaws and what the proposed changes are, and have opportunity to clarify anything that members request to be clarified. There will be a voting window established, and so the voting window and then the procedures will be clearly communicated as a part of that forum and in writing. Then votes will be cast online, and we'll be using Squarespace. It's attached to the Google Tool Suite that we use. And we'd just like to thank the Communications Committee for helping to set up an online voting solution for us. We'll count quorum based on the votes that are cast during that voting window. Our membership status will be confirmed with school records. So we'll be working with the front office in a way that's similar to the way we usually do, since we'll need to confirm that we have current members voting. And then the results of the vote will be communicated to the membership by email. So if you have questions about those procedures, those are presented here, just please just send a note to the Board of Trustees. And we believe this will be probably in place for a couple different, for both of these new business items that we have in the next couple of months. But it should work pretty smoothly, and hopefully we'll have participation from our membership so that we only conduct the vote one time. So spread the word that this will be coming so we get as much participation as possible. So thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Kichi now to conclude our meeting.
Yes. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, everyone who presented. Again, we would like to thank all the parents, more especially our teachers who has worked tirelessly throughout this period, administration, Jen Tucker. This could not have happened or be a success without all they've been doing. So we're very thankful for that, even though it's very unusual. We're in unusual circumstances, but things are still getting done, and we're very grateful. We thank the parents for their patience and everything all the support that they've been given their scholars, because this is not an easy transition. So we are grateful for that. Again, any questions regarding finance, operations will come to the BOT, Frederick Classical Charter School, and curriculum questions should be going to the head of school, Dr. Bell. So thank you everyone for your time. We are thinking about our scholars, and we're hoping that we'll get to a place, maybe not normalcy, but at some point where we're able to see them. So be safe, and we wish everyone the best during this holiday period, and we hope that at some point we'll meet again. So thank you everyone for joining us here. Have a good night.